Raise your hand if your hands flip through the impact zone. So why do your hands flip? Why do your hands look like this? Why do they rotate a lot and not your body? So the body is responsible for creating all the power. Most of us roll our hands too soon or too fast because we are trying to save or reconnect. So it looks more like this guy. He's flipping his hands. In reality, the hands do a small rotation like this. So what gets the golf club to move further? Well, there you go. It's the body. And most of us don't have that body turn. We're very stuck in our ways. We sit in the car all day. We don't get out much anymore. So the role of the body is to turn and stay in its posture, and the hands just kind of keep up with that turn and finish nice in the center line. So if you always want to check where your hand position should be, kind of always look for the front of your chest. They do move side to side slightly, but once they cross your body, game over. If you take a look at the power source, it is the center of your chest. So if I connect my club to the center of my chest, you can see by just rotating and staying in my posture, that path kind of stays neutral. The club face stays pretty square, but we all know we can't hit a golf club like this. The problem is when we start losing our posture, that changes our path. It also changes the power source and where that is going. The key is let the arms and hands kind of do what they want, because the range of motion is so big with the shoulders. Our goal is to learn to drive the lower body up and the upper body stay down. We do this with a strong core and also correct weight management system. So if you don't have sufficient weight management system, you start standing up, you start staying behind the golf ball, and the only chance to hit the golf ball is to get your hands to flip, which is what we're trying to avoid. So a good drill here is what you see me doing is just open that club face ever so slightly and then turning your whole body, and you should feel very stretched when you do this. Let's take a look at what happens with a very loopy swing either way. So we'll see two different positions at the top. We see player A on the left side takes that club behind him, gets his arms really engaged. Player on the right side is keeping his arms way out in front of him, but the path is so far upright out to in, so they now have to move that club face correctly based on the positions they give themselves. So at the top of the swing here, this is about where the top should be. Now that's two completely different motions, right? We have one that is very flat and one that is very steep, but you'll notice the shoulders are in about the same position. Now that is just because I'm maintaining my posture. So as long as you maintain your posture, your hands and arms can be very independent based on what you prefer, what you are looking for, what your natural tendencies are. So this is the big key to the golf swing. Maintain your posture and your hands and arms will learn to do things. Now there's positives and negatives to each one of those, and we'll see the action that occurs between them. As we come on back through, we're rerouting the club face. They're both in the similar position here, right there. Okay, so we can see they're pretty close to pointing in the same direction. Now let's just clear this line up because we don't need to see how we rerouted it. So already we see the path on the left side and the right side fairly close to each other in terms of the angle. But what we see is the spacing between our club shaft and our body. So this one, there is a lot of body separation between the club shaft, where this one, it's not as separated. Now the reason being is it's sequencing. Now my hands have felt that they needed some room from the person on the left side because that club face was very low and the plane was very flat. So I had to create room and try and get that club head to reach a higher angle. By doing that, I'm starting to rotate my hips. The person on the right side doesn't have to do that because he went from severe up to rerouting down. Now you don't need to clear the hips when you do that because you already have some room for your hands and arms to navigate around. Now from here it's just momentum based. So as we come on through, we can see how much the left side is starting to turn more because of that momentum shift to get that club on plane, where this side the momentum is not quite a turning motion, but just because there's a lot of room already for the hands and arms to kind of loop back around. As we come down to impact, we can see as a result of a lot of turn, the hands are lagging behind the body. So what has to happen is the hands now have to start to flip or throw because that club face needs to catch up with that body turn, where the person on the right side can hold that angle a little bit longer, And as we come into impact here, see this one's still a little bit forward pressed. The club hasn't gone through the impact zone. Here the club has gone through the impact zone. And as we release now, we start to see a little bit of difference there. Hands are in a better position with the body because they have kept up with the body rotation, because there's not much rotation compared to the guy on the left. The guy on the left has turned a lot more, so the hands have to catch up and start to throw that club face. So this position is key. I've kept that club face on the path. However, look how much my hands were engaged. Where this one, my hands are a little bit higher that pain, but look at my club face. My club face is connected to my spine. So I've cleared the lines, and we can see if I draw a spine angle line to my club face, it's pretty close. If I draw a spine angle line to my club face, it's not close at all. So this one, although it might look the part, can you imagine how much timing is involved to square that club face? Because you've turned a lot, because you rerouted it, but you're able to develop some severe power because you're whipping through that impact position. However, to keep that thing square requires an incredible amount of timing. The guy on the right is able to keep that club face in connection with his spine and also limit the turn. So this is for somebody that has mobility issues, that can't turn as much, and we're just going to use the hands and arms to keep up with that chest. The guy on the left has the ability to turn a lot, but when you turn a lot, guess what happens? Your club face is veered off of its power source, so it involves hand-eye coordination and timing. So this is why the people on tour are freaks of nature, because they have incredible timing, because they can open up their hips. So if you're trying to open up your hips and flare those hips open, good luck to you, because it requires a lot of timing, and timing requires thousands of golf balls striking every single week. So if you have that lifestyle, I envy you. I want to be you, because I prefer to hit 1,000 golf balls a week than actually work. But if you're working, you want to emulate the guy on the right by reducing the body turn, allowing the hands and arms to keep up with the chest and the core, and keeping that club face squarer longer. As we go into the follow through here, we can see the exit path. Look at my hands on the left side, much more engaged. Hands on the right side, it's still kind of connected to the center of my chest. Here my hands have crossed over to my left side a little too soon. And as we come on up to the follow through, we can see the club position. Look how much more action that club head has versus here. It's still finishing higher and wider. As we finish through here, my club head has gone through already. This one is still clearing. My body positioning starting to look about the same. You can see that right foot has turned a lot more to get that turn, to reroute it, where this one is kind of finishing a little bit higher. And as we go through here, we can see my club head is going right through my head like an arrow, where this one is pointing down because that club head has traveled faster and is a little bit more out of control. But if you just take a look at the follow through picture, there is very little difference that you can see from here in terms of the body. Some of the telltale signs are the footwork. So we can see I'm still holding my posture, my spine angle, but the footwork, this is cleared a little bit more. My belt buckle's facing slightly more left, but my body is about the same. So if you think you can tell the difference between a good shot and a bad shot by the pose at the end, it's very hard. You have to slow this golf swing down to see what is the cause and effect. Now, this is all caused by momentum, based on your arm positions in the swing, not necessarily your posture. So posture is key. You have to get your posture hold at all times, and the arm position really affects the downswing. It really affects momentum to make sure you're staying in that posture at impact. If you can hold your posture as best as you can, let the arms develop naturally. Now, there's positives and negatives for each position. You need to go work with a golf professional to figure out what your limitations are, what your range of motions are, so you can develop a more consistent motion that requires less timing, because you are not going to the range for 1,000 golf balls a week. If you are, then maybe you look more like the guy on the left, and maybe that's who you need to emulate, and still work with a golf professional who can help you develop correctly. It all comes down to footwork, it all comes down to spine angle, and it all comes down to conservation of angular momentum without releasing that club head too soon. And the guy on the right is what the average golfer should try to emulate. So if you have a loopy upright swing, hey, you're already ahead of the game. Go see a golf pro to figure the rest out. Hope that helps you guys. If you liked it, hit that like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And I will see you next time. Fairways and Greens.